Hey everyone, Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business. Today we're going to be talking about my budgeting, how I save, what I spend on, and all that good stuff as a financial minimalist. I'm doing this as per request from my 2 videos ago when I talked about some of my financial minimalism and things that I do to save money. Someone asked that I really go deep and cover this like fully so that if someone could or wants to mimic my life in some way, or take away things that I'm doing that are working really well for me and implement it into their life, I would love to provide that value for you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just straight up, unedited, unfiltered, unchanged, show you my entire budgeting, like my spreadsheet, and I'll go through all the lines. If that seems like it'll be interesting to you, then stick around and I'll sort of explain how I do some different things and just make it all make sense for you. If that's boring, then go to the next video. But this is really just going to be looking at the stuff that I spend money on and the ways that I'm able to save and how you guys can do the same thing. So, I mean, first, there's a lot of simple things like, cutting back on expenses where you can. And a lot of that obvious stuff that I talked about in the previous one, I'd like to show you guys some specific examples of way that I save money and practice financial minimalism. And mind you, I wasn't always a financial minimalist. So, things change as you go. And, I've got fancy watches and stuff in the background, but I haven't bought anything like that or had that spending mindset for years now. I was sort of like that back in like early days of university, like most people probably, and since have really adjusted my lifestyle and optimized it over the past 7 years. So, I mean, right away, I think this is not the greatest way to spend your money, but I'm sure a lot of people do this. Spotify. I don't feel as bad when I'm paying for things with crypto. So like now that I'm making a lot more money in crypto and I'm spending $9.99 a month on Spotify, it doesn't hit as hard when I know it's from like one video post. Like one video post a month can pay for my Spotify subscription every month. And then I think, that's not so bad. I think having the perspective of if I can increase my cash flow to pay for the little extra expenses and luxuries I have in my life, then, that's an absolutely amazing way to do it. I don't think you should cut into your current expenses to do stuff like that. I talked about this in the previous video. Build the foundation of the lifestyle that you would like to live. That is very valuable to you. Cut out everything else and then go from there. Don't inflate your lifestyle as you make more money. Just continue saving and having that core foundation that you need to be happy. And for me, I listen to, sounds when I'm going to sleep. I do Zen. I listen to a lot of Zen stuff and meditation stuff throughout the day. Spotify is a huge component of my day. And for $9.99, I think it is definitely worth it. I've canceled my SoundCloud because it was extremely expensive. I was doing this as a creator, by the way, not as like a user. And then they like screwed me over and they increased my yearly payments by $40. And then they said they would fix it. They promised to fix it. And then they didn't fix it. And then they've ignored me since. And this was all before COVID. So they can't even use the excuse of, like it's a crisis. We are overwhelmed. They responded to the first email and the second email. And then they just ignored me after I said, yes, please do fix the problem that you said you would fix. Awful company, really sad because they used to really stand for independent artists. And then I don't know what happened to them. They just really went off the wall. Beat leases. This is just for like my music stuff. And this is my music publishing stuff. I haven't done anything this year. You guys probably don't even know that I make music. I'm going to casually keep that as a side thing until I feel like I want to make that more known to this audience. But you could probably find it if you really look hard enough. I don't hide it really that much. I just don't talk about it. Going forward from there, though, is a lot of the, expenses that everyone has. Internet. This is just like the full internet. I split my internet with roommates. I think it's really important to live with roommates in your younger years if you can to save money. Splitting on internet, utilities, rent, all that stuff, sharing the costs for, everything in the house, everything that you would have to do, sharing the responsibilities, all that stuff gives you a perfect situation to save ridiculous amounts of money. And it's very, very viable and feasible for people who are younger, who don't have, a family that they also have to bring, or as many, things that they have to worry about and take care of and have responsibility for. Like when you're in your younger years, being able to share a place with roommates is a very effective way for you to save money. And I think everyone should be taking advantage of that, or even, just living at home. A lot of people make fun of people who live at home, but in today's, crisis with rent and everything, they're probably feeling a little silly, because those people who are living at home for very, very low cost are doing the right thing right now. And then, utilities, all that other stuff that I mentioned. Amazon Prime. I get enough benefit out of Amazon Prime that I absolutely feel it is worth doing. I order a lot of stuff using Amazon Prime. I just pay for it with crypto again. And it's super, super useful. And it also gives you Amazon Prime Video. And that's how I watch Parks and Rec and some of my favorite shows. So I will say that is a pretty big bonus, since I only really wanted it for better shipping. And discounts and stuff that you get as a Prime member, I've absolutely used that to its full benefit. I order way too many things on Amazon. I've basically gotten to the point where I find things that are basically the same cost as the grocery store, and I just have them delivered to my house, because I don't have a car, right? So I try to find ways to make life easier. And again, having a car is part of financial minimalism. I save money on my payments, insurance, gas, all that stuff. And a lot of people say, well, I can't do that. I felt the same way 7 years ago, until I decided to consciously shape my life around the lifestyle foundation that I set for myself, which did not include a car. As I've talked about before, financial minimalism and being able to achieve financial freedom is so key around building around your lifestyle foundation. And for me, I thought to myself, how much more money would I have, and how much of a nuisance would it be to not have a car? Could I build a life where I worked from home? Originally, that wasn't possible with what I was going to school for. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And this is what I want. I want to have the freedom to be an entrepreneur and do the things that I want, be my own boss and work on my own schedule. And I said, I refuse to take no for an answer. And it took me about 4 years to get there entirely. I mean, I was sort of doing it on the side while also working and going to school. I had my actual job at working at the school for the school for lower than minimum wage. And then I was going to school for networking and IT security. And then after that, actually at the same time, I was also doing my freelance social media. And then when I finally graduated, I completely went 100% into social media. And I've been doing that ever since, freelancing from home. A lot of people can switch around their situations and find ways to make things work. Instead of just saying, I can't, think, how beneficial would this be? Would the upside outweigh the, negative? And I've been doing this for so long that it just feels like normal. I mean, I used to drive. I never owned a car, but I would drive my parents' car a lot. It's not like I don't have a license. I have my full license and everything. Because some people assume, oh, well, maybe he just doesn't have his license or something. No, I got my license as early as you possibly could. Passed my first time. There was no problems with driving or anything. It was just, when I saw other people buying really expensive cars and putting all their money into it, some of my friends have multiple cars, it just really irked me financially to see that. And maybe that was the start of my financial minimalism 7 years ago. But I didn't really get serious about it until the past 2 or 3 years. Anyways, though, for rental insurance, that's just something you got to pay. Student loans, some people might say it's probably better if you just put all your money into paying student loans down. I disagree, because I've gotten to the point where, with the investments that I've made, I am now able to passively pay for my student loans. So it's almost as if, with all the money I have coming in every month, I I can almost passively pay off my student loans. And I think that is way more, effective and relevant than, just paying them off and not having that expense. Because once they're done being paid, I will still have that money coming in for my passive income. And I think it's much better personally to build up a cash flow than to worry about your student loan, debt payments, depending on how much interest, right? That is the key thing. You do have to consider the interest. For me, it's pretty low because I'm in a very low tax bracket, and then I make everything else in crypto. Again, I'm very conscious about how I do all of this to make this work in the best way possible. And I think once people start to get more serious about their finances, budgeting, doing all the stuff that I'm talking about, then they might see how relevant that could be for their lives. I wasn't even aware of where my money was going. I didn't know how I could even save more or invest more or do more. But once I got really conscious about it, I just had all this money that I didn't have before, because it went to food, it went to all these random expenses that seemed like just a normal expense at the time, and now they just seem like a waste. As you go forward and you continue to optimize your lifestyle, you will see that the things that you think mattered before are pretty frivolous and luxuries that you don't need. I spend about $300 on food max. I feel like I actually spend less, but I don't track it. Like, I haven't been tracking my food spending as well as I probably should have. I split a lot with my roommates, and it's kind of a pain. I do need to update that, and I actually will. I keep all my receipts and everything, of course, so that I can. And keeping your food budget low, I think, is pretty big, because most people will go overboard with ordering out. That's probably the biggest thing that people need to fix. For me, that wasn't a problem. I didn't do that very much, but I did cut it back once I started to get more serious, and I treat it like a treat, like it's something to reward myself. It's not just something that you do to hang out with your friends. And then groceries, I did get very, I used to spend probably closer to $400, but I got very conscious about what I was buying. I bought less milk, less juice, pretty much less of everything. And I found creative solutions. Like, I know some people might irk at this, but I put a little bit of water in my milk and my juice. I water everything down to make it last way longer. And at first it's a little watered down, but then eventually you don't even notice. Like, that's just what it is. And it doesn't taste like bad to me. I already am lactose intolerant, so milk is pretty not milk-like already for me. So it wasn't that big of a deal for me to change. I know a lot of people think that's like really weird. Travel expenses. So for all the Ubers that I've taken this entire year, we're almost 6 months into the year. Mind you, I'm taking a lot less Ubers now that, we have the crisis and everything that's going on. I've only spent $178. Just occasional going to a friend's place, like before COVID. Though I will always walk or ride a bike or longboard if it'll take me less than 20 minutes to get there and it's above -10 and it's not raining. I will walk or do what I need to do. And then, groceries, go like once a week, try to order them too, if possible. That makes it even easier. And then I would Uber to get my hair cut. Didn't really do a lot else. I didn't need to. And if I ever had a meeting or something in Toronto, I would take the Uber to the train station and I would train in. And I've been saving crazy money on Uber. So that's been really good. Last year, though, to give a more reasonable comparison, I only spent $60 on average a month on Uber. So, clearly that's a lot less than people are spending on gas and insurance and their lease or whatever for their car. And then for haircuts, I spent $37. I just get the cheapest haircut you can get because, I don't really care that much and I do my own beard. So, actually during COVID, I bought better, clippers and special hair cutting scissors and all that stuff. And I've just been cutting my own hair. And I actually think this looks good enough where, here, I'll go back to this and do a little turn for you guys. I haven't touched it up lately, but I think it looks good enough to the point where I may never pay for another haircut, or I'll only get them like once or twice a year before big events or something like that. Because I think my hairstyle is so simple that I just use the same level for my beard and hair and then just go around, and then I use the clippers on the top, and I don't know, it seems pretty easy to me. And considering I had to pay for the haircut and the Uber both ways, it saves me a lot of money to just do this instead. So I'm absolutely going to be doing this, COVID or not. Everything that you see here is probably changes that will happen regardless of COVID. These are just changes that I'll be implementing indefinitely, more or less. So if we look at hygiene products, this is just like shampoo, soap, hand soap, I don't know, anything you could think of related to hygiene. I don't know, skin moisturizer, is that what it's called? Yeah, moisturizer, because I have dry skin, and things like condoms and stuff. But yeah, that's just an average expense. I'm sure everyone's got something similar like that. Supplies and tools, and then cleaning supplies. Something really good about cleaning supplies as a freelancer or someone with a small business is you can actually claim a lot of that even as a home business. And for all of this, actually, as a small business, I'm able to claim 30% of my rent, 30% of my utilities, 30% of my internet, 30% of my phone bill. There's a ridiculous amount that I can write off as a tax deduction. So I think that's really, really cool and empowering. And if you can find a way to make money from home, and then claim as such huge deductions on your taxes, it makes a big difference. And at this point, I'm actually making money from tax, which is insane. Because I'm collecting the tax and then giving it to the government, and then they're letting me keep a small portion of that. And yeah, it kind of blows my mind that if you flip things around, you might actually make money. But again, that's because I'm in a very low tax bracket, the bottom actually. And I make everything else in crypto, so I'm good. But you might be surprised to know that I don't actually have a crazy amount of money. This is just kind of the way that I've been building things out. And, I'm starting to absolutely have an increased cash flow, and it's awesome. But I've managed to live on a pretty menial budget. And someone said, like, really? You were living on $2,000? Like, that's so low. And I was like, $2,000 is a pretty good amount of money, man. You could do a lot with that. Maybe in Canada, $2,000 goes a longer way. I've also been looking into moving to somewhere like Indonesia or Hungary or something where the cost of living is just exponentially cheaper, but I could still get like internet and, have the basic essentials like Uber and stuff. Because I think the concept of being a digital nomad where you're working from home and you're earning everything online anyways, if you can earn that still in the regular currency that you're getting it in, US or Canadian dollars or whatever, and then you're living in somewhere like Indonesia or like Bali, for example. I know there's a few great people that I know who live there who are crypto digital nomads, and they love it there. Like, it's like 250% cheaper, I believe, than Canada to live there for cost of living. So that could easily trump everything that we'll talk about today if you move somewhere that was extremely cheaper. I doubt anyone's doing that now, but it might be something to consider in the future when things settle down. Clothing, I spent $230 this year. Ironically, that is a big number for me. I barely ever buy clothes. As you guys see, I'm always wearing $7 H&M V-necks. That's basically all I own. I buy everything from H&M at the lowest possible price. The reason it's at $230 is because I bought a few new things for the summer, like some shorts and stuff. Shorts were $20. The t-shirts I bought were actually $4.99 because they were on sale, I think. So they were even cheaper than normal. And yeah, it's just, the basic essentials. I don't buy anything expensive. The most expensive thing I buy clothing-wise is like a winter coat or a jacket. And I never really buy new ones. Like I had one, I lost two last year, or one was stolen, one was lost. So I did buy that at the end of the year last year. But, unless something is lost, destroyed, or stolen, I'm not buying more for fun. Again, I have 5-year-old shoes that I'm wearing every day. I have other shoes for when those finally deteriorate and fall apart. I literally wore my last shoes until the sole fell off of the shoe when I was longboarding. Because you have to, when I stop on a longboard, I just drag my foot. So it grinds it down pretty fast. It's actually a miracle that it has lasted 5 years, considering I longboard a lot in the warmer months. Like the other day, I longboarded 3 times that day. For celebrations, I set aside a little bit of money. Christmas, birthdays, weddings, not very much money at all. Maybe you could call me cheap. I only set aside $400 a year. I forgot that I had all these things on the side here that I wasn't showing you guys. These are all of my, like, don't spend more than this. And then I have like my max. And if I do spend more, I start to look at the rest of my budget and move things around. In a way, I guess, like, I think this is like a bad word to use, but if I buy something stupid, I sort of like punish myself elsewhere. And by that, I mean, like, say I go out for food when I probably shouldn't have, then maybe instead of, I don't actually know a good example in this situation. Maybe instead of buying, 2 cases of beer the next time I buy beer, I buy 1 case, and I very consciously, drink less beer in order to offset that. I don't treat purchases like, oh, I can just spend this and it's fine because I do have the money. It's not like it's actually going to be a problem. I treat it more like, look, this is your budget. If you go over the budget, you have to balance the budget somewhere else. My budget gives me tons of leeway because I'm making significantly more than my budget, and everything else is going to savings, paying down my student loan, investing in stocks and dividends, and then everything I'm making in crypto is mostly going back into crypto. So I keep those very separate. But I have been trying to pay for a lot of my discretionary spending with crypto. So, for example, actually, the clothes I just bought, I bought all with crypto. All of my Amazon purchases for the last month have been in crypto, and going forward, all these changes that I've made for fiat free May, I'm going to continue doing for the rest of my life if I can keep up this crypto income, because I think it's so cool and empowering to be able to spend crypto on your regular stuff to like prove to people and live that solution, that reality where you can actually fund your lifestyle with just crypto. And especially that I'm doing it all with earned crypto from social media, I think it's even more empowering because it's not like I'm asking for crypto from like my job or something, or, I'm making a crazy change. This is just extra money that is coming in, but now it's getting close to the point where it could cover the majority of my expenses. So that's really cool. And it also pays for all my Uber. Anytime I order out, Uber Eats, anything like that, all paid in crypto now. So this has really freed up a lot of my fiat funds to creating a bigger, a nest egg for savings if something bad happened, and just getting more into the stock market. And it's really because my crypto income has been really going up a lot lately, and I've been trying to sort of put some of that into my regular expenses so that I could offset the expenses for fiat so that I could then invest more and not be so close to my margins with fiat. Mind you, I've been making more money as well, so that hasn't been as much of a problem as it was before. But I'm definitely very conscious of that. So yeah, with celebrations, you could maybe call me frugal or stingy, but I don't do a lot of spending money for celebrations. That is just my mantra. Business miscellaneous stuff like business cards, all that stuff. Haven't had to buy any of that this year. Medicinal costs $42. So I bought a lot of stuff for like for the virus, like first aid kit, things like that, cough medicine, just general stuff you might have to buy, vitamins. That's all in medicinal for me, so that all makes sense. I think that's all like fair expenses. Like as long as you're not going overboard with like, oh, I need 1,000 different vitamins. As long as you're just sticking to the essentials and you're not spending crazy amounts of money, I think those are all very reasonable expenses. Investing in your health is an investment. Tea and coffee, it's pretty fair for 6 months, only $40. I've been spending a lot more money on tea to offset the amount that I spent on coffee last year, because I realized it was a lot of money and tea is just so much cheaper. I've sort of, broken my habit of trying to just drink tea because I need coffee in the morning. So I used to have 2 coffees. Now I just do 1 and then I do tea for the rest of the day. And lo and behold, I've got my tea right here. It's just herbal green tea. It's basically the cheapest you can get. It's like flavored hot water. But I enjoy it. It's just like a nice calming little thing that I have. And it's also like 0 calories. So, some of these choices that I've made have also been health choices. It's amazing when saving money can also be the healthier pick, because a lot of people think, well, if you're saving money on food, you're probably buying worse stuff. It depends, right? You can buy tons of eggs for super cheap and lettuce and different things. You can get a lot of really cheap stuff. But once you start getting into the really like organic, gluten-free, all that stuff, yeah, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Vlog improvements, I think these are all reasonable, fair expenses. Some of them are vanity, right? Like, I just recently got gel lights, so that's why my light has been more yellow. Some people have been wondering why that is. I prefer it this way because it makes me look less white. And it has a better depth, I find. And just different things for vlog improvements I always feel are pretty useful. I mean, again, some of them are not important, like those paintings I bought this year. But I really enjoy them, and I feel like it improves the vlog. And given this is starting to make money, and this is something that I really care about, I do want to give you guys the best, experience. And I feel like for me, I really appreciate little knickknacks and all these different little things that are in vlogs. Like, I really appreciate Joe Rogan's setup, how he's got all these different little bits of his personality just out on display that you can sort of like, you can see every time and you catch little glimpses of it and stuff. I like that as well. And I use the space to also represent a lot of the platforms that I support and love to use. We've got like Publish OX, Mind's Pillow there, library framed certificate of being an original creator. Steemit is right there. Those Steemits kind of been, getting a little sketchy. It would have been better if it was just Steam. I guess I need a Hive one now. If someone from Hive sees this and like can send me a good PNG of the logo or maybe even some merch, that'd be really great. I would love to represent Hive, and then Uptrend as well. And DTube is up there at the top with that DTube hat. And there's a few crypto pins on there as well. So, different little knickknacks and different little things. I feel like it's a really good vibe to have those kinds of things and add that to the experience of the vlog. And then I have a lot of like lights and things to improve the way things look, and just different things here and there that I think make a big difference. And it's like a one-time expense, right? $100 this year. I probably spent a lot more last year, to be fair. But yeah, so let's get back to this. ATM withdrawal fees. I might have withdrawn like once or twice this year from somewhere that wasn't my bank. So, that's not really that bad, but that is something you should try to avoid where possible. Electronics, that's just like batteries and things like that. Emergency supplies, all the stuff I bought for COVID. I bought a lot of food for backup. I just wanted to be safe, better to be prepared than not prepared. It didn't cost me very much money. People make it seem like it's going to cost you so much money. I was just essentially buying a little bit of extra stuff every time I went to the store, buying gallon jugs of water, canned foods. You'd be surprised, actually. Once I started to shop around for stuff for COVID, I realized how much money I was wasting elsewhere. So, for example, if I buy a box of rice, a Minute Rice box of rice, costs, I think it was $8.99, and it's 1 kilogram. But if you buy an 8 kilogram, 8 times as much rice, an 8 kilogram bag of rice, it's $11.99. You're getting 8 times as much for only $3 more. And it'll literally last you like 8 times longer. So if a box of rice lasts you a month, this is almost going to last you the year, right? The only inconvenience is it's in a bag. But doing that showed me all these different ways that I could save tons of money. I only buy the select brands. I never get fancy with, ketchup or mustard or whatever. Pretty much just with any of those things, right? And I'll buy stuff that's on sale, and I'll always buy the more bulk version. You know what's something interesting that you guys should keep in mind when you're at the grocery store? When you see something on sale, look for the same thing in a bulk form. Maybe not even on sale. It might be cheaper unit wise, right? I find that a lot. There was like aluminum foil, for example, on sale the other day at the grocery store, and it was $5 or something for 100 feet of aluminum foil. But then for 250, it was like a few bucks more. And I was like, that's more than double the amount. But the other one was on sale, so it looked like maybe it was a better deal because it was buy one, get the second one free or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But you were still going to save more money with the bulk purchase. And I actually find that's the case a lot of the time when I buy frozen fruit. Again, I always see the small bags on sale, but if you buy the bigger bag not on sale, it's still actually cheaper based on the unit. And something else I didn't even realize, certain things are priced versus the unit versus the weight. So a head of lettuce, regardless of the size, is priced by the unit, not the weight. So when I found that out, I was like, why was I ever buying small lettuces to save money on the weight? Not realizing that it's just a unit price. So you should buy the biggest one possible to, get the most out of it. So that's another thing to look for. In terms of what I spend on alcohol, I probably spend more than I should. I'm a young Canadian male who grew up with the, having a wine at dinner or a beer at dinner and having another beer after that as you sort of wind down the evening. And I've kind of kept that. I mean, it's not crazy. I could save money there. That's probably one of the things that I still sort of indulge that I could easily save money on. And to each their own there. I think everyone has to have some vices. Otherwise, like your vices will pop up in some form, right? At least it's better if you own up your vices, and you just like, I'm not saying to embrace your vices, but owning up to them rather than trying to like hide them and having them pop up somewhere else. Not saying that that's exactly the case, but I think it's fine to enjoy yourself as well, given the amount that I save elsewhere. And I'm not going to water down my beer or anything like that. I do try to buy cheap beer though. So, teach their own. Tips, I think I tip pretty fairly. I usually tip 15%. So I just track that. I think that's fair. Other luxuries, just like other things that might not really be necessary, but, indulge a little every now and then. Like, I have a hookah to smoke shisha, for example. Enjoy that every now and then. I don't, get crazy with that kind of stuff, but it's something, chocolates, whatever, little luxuries. I don't know. I just put them all under other luxuries. These two expenses are really the main ones that I could cut back on. But those are the two that I'm really giving myself leeway on based on how much I'm doing everywhere else. And again, financial minimalism isn't just cutting out everything. It is also evaluating how much value you get out of certain things. So if I feel that I'm getting enough value off of the appreciation and the stress relief I get from having a beer, if I'm getting enough value out of that, then it's fine, right? If I didn't even enjoy it really that much, then it wouldn't really make sense to keep doing. So it really depends what you're trying to do. I mean, some people are trying to get drunk. I just enjoy the taste of beer. $0 on gambling this year. Usually I only gamble when I'm like betting on myself for something. I don't like slots and poker that much. My friends are all doing a lot of poker stuff during this time. I haven't really participated. I might, in like a $5 game, but I don't like spending money where I'm more than likely going to lose the money. I did a lot of gardening last year, but I didn't spend anything on that this year. After realizing that living in a townhouse is very challenging to have a garden that doesn't get, stepped on or whatever. And I wasn't just gardening for fun. I was trying to grow like tomatoes and stuff. Another part of financial minimalism. Once we move into a house, me and my roommates, probably at the end of the year, we'll see. I'm going to start a full-fledged garden so that I can save tons of money on vegetables and fruits. And if you guys are interested in seeing that journey as well, I can do some stuff on that. But yeah. So the rest of the stuff is, it's all pretty like casual stuff. I mean, it's nothing crazy. Leisure activities like, I don't know, buying a movie ticket or whatever when things were normal. I was doing that. I just deleted a row there that was irrelevant from last year, but I could probably delete gardening. I don't think I'll be spending anything on gardening this year either. If we look at video games, I do occasionally indulge in certain video games. I try not to spend money there, but if I do, I'll just use crypto and I'll buy like a Steam gift card or something from BitRefill. But yeah, I mean, there's certain games that I was a big gamer, and there's certain games that I have the nostalgia for that I kind of have to indulge a little bit. For example, Mount and Blade Bannerlord. Go and download that if you haven't, to show them some support. They're a very small team. I was a huge fan of the first game and I had to buy the follow-up. It's not a lot better graphics-wise, but it is pretty cool, and you'll get a lot of nostalgia out of it if you like the first one. There's definitely a lot that they put into this. It's a little slow starting, pretty similar to the first one, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, I like to indulge video games very occasionally, but I don't put very much time into it anymore. And then things like misc junk food, like fast food and stuff. Amazon purchases that are miscellaneous, like not super important stuff. Didn't spend anything there. Pointless stuff that I couldn't fit in any other category that I think I probably shouldn't be buying. These are all in red because these are all things I would like to cut back if possible on, and I've done a very good job this year. I've only spent like $300 on all of this stuff, which is very, very low. And then home decor, $70. That was just a few things. Like, for example, if you look behind me, it's kind of hard to see. On this side anyways, you can see like the fake plant. It's kind of like a Asian Zen vibe that I was going for. There's another one on the other side there. But it's just little things like that. And I bought some plants. You guys always see that at the top corner there. I bought a few for downstairs. That's just some simple stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I like any Zen-esque things and plants. I like having some, living plants around. Makes it a little bit homier personally. That was a small expense, but it's something to consider. I don't think spending a ton of money upgrading your home is a good idea, because most people can just indefinitely find ways to improve their home and update with trends or replace this, or this is getting old. I never really buy new furniture or anything like that. I think that's just a waste of money. I've had the same everything forever, right? The nightstand behind me I've had since I was a child. That little coffee table-esque thing I got for free when I moved into a place and people were getting rid of it. This desk I've had for like 7 years, because my last desk before that broke during a move. It's the only reason I bought a new desk. I've had that shelf for about 10 years. My bed I've had my whole life. I don't really buy new furniture. I think it's pretty wasteful personally, and I can't even remember the last time I bought a new any new furniture. I've had my TV downstairs. I've literally had since grade 9 when I first started working. That was one of the first things I ever bought. And I've still had the same TV. Stuff like that. I don't buy new things unless it's really important. Or, something breaks or I have to. I think, people should really think, do I really need this? Do I really need like a new TV? Do I really need this? It's like most people have multiple TVs, computers, phones. It's like, how many screens do you need? PayPal fees, let me jump back here. PayPal fees, I don't really spend very much on. Bank fees. See, this one is a weird one because I'm not supposed to be charged if I have more than $4,000 in my checkings, but it charged me, and it's been charging me lately. It's like almost as if they wanted to start charging me regardless during COVID. They changed the rules or something. I don't know. It's pretty weird. It seems like they're punishing people during COVID, and the banks are just doing some weird stuff and, not letting people access their money. And it's just proving more and more why crypto has been such a good thing. I spend some money on marketing and little things like Fiverr, like paying people to create a logo or whatever it might be. And then the Amazon deposit is just me putting crypto into Amazon. Google Drive. I know some people are going to be upset that I use Google Drive. If you guys know of a really good like open source or free alternative or just something better to support that is still like really solid for storage, for online documents and stuff, I would be happy to indulge. Because Google actually, in the past, I had some issue with my email, and then they completely locked out everything that I had in my storage. And a lot of my documents were in this Google form here, and then I couldn't edit them or even open them or access them. And I was freaking out because my life was like all shut down by Google, and it was going to ruin my whole business because I had all my passwords, everything that mattered was all in there. And since I've updated and downloaded all my stuff into regular Word readable files every week or so, I do backups, I do all this stuff. So that you don't have to learn the hard way. I think the best way to go about it is to back up like you've already suffered the loss. And, now you're like, now I got to back up every day. I got to make sure this never happens again. Have that attitude to begin with so that you don't need to learn the hard way. I think that's the best way to go about it. And, maybe it's a blessing that I learned the hard way early so I didn't have to learn it when it was going to be much more detrimental. I spend about $53.94 a year on web domain, just for owning several web domains. I found the best way to utilize that without spending a lot of money on like hosting and all that other stuff is to park the domains and then just point them to an address, or URL rather. And that's the cheapest way you could have a URL. So for me, I point Scott C Business to my Linkly account. And essentially on Linkly, it just displays all of my links to all my different stuff. And then I can update it for the latest videos and different things like that. And, it's very simple, but it gets the job done. I don't think most people even really appreciate a website anymore unless it's very niche and it's, for something very specific like a store or whatever. Most people only need your website to find your other stuff and your contact information, stuff like that. And that's, email me and Telegram in case you were curious. But everything is here, and you guys can do the same thing. I have a video on it if you want to, actually see exactly how to do it. It is a much, much cheaper alternative than actually hosting a website or paying for something. And it'll be the cheapest way for you to have something to point people to. And it also looks really nice because it's www.scottcbusiness.com. That's what they type in, and then it takes them to Linkly. So it's still that really nice URL. It's my username. It's how people identify my brand. But then it still does everything that I need for the lowest price possible. Adobe Suite, there's no way to get around this cost because there's just too many Adobe applications that I need to use. Right now I'm using Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and Adobe Audition. Literally right now I'm using Adobe Audition for voice editing real time to clean it up and just make it sound a lot better. That's why, I've got that ASMR type, and then LastPass I use to manage all my passwords. I think this is so useful. The reason I pay for the premium version is because I wanted access with fingerprint, like biometrics and stuff. I have a little fingerprint scanner beside my computer keyboard on my desk here. The reason being so that when I sign in, I can just fingerprint, and whenever I have a prompt come up, this is LastPass, by the way, whenever I have a prompt come up, I can just fingerprint to confirm rather than typing out my password, and it saves me insane amounts of time. Also, just for remembering and typing out every password, it's so much time is saved, because I probably have like 20 or 30 passwords now. For the best security possible, you want to have different tiered levels, right? Your bank account is a certain password. Your email to that bank account is a different password. You want to make it so that if any really important stuff gets hacked, that it won't affect anything else attached to it, right? So you want to have all those completely separate, so there isn't like a one point of failure that will compromise everything. And that's why having a password manager is really useful to help with that. Bitvo fees. This is actually needs to be updated to like $8. Bitvo just charges you a fee whenever you spend, because it's like a credit card basically, and you could either opt in for Bitvo, where you have to spend a little bit on every transaction, or you can do local coin, where you pay like $2 and you get unlimited transactions with no fees. But with local coin, you've got to convert crypto as you spend it. So it's better for when crypto is worth a lot, versus Bitvo, which will convert it as you put it in, and then it'll act more like a stable coin at that point. I feel like that's more reliable right now. Crypto isn't super high. If, Bitcoin goes to its previous high, I'll probably be using local coin instead. But we'll see how that goes. I don't have any plans to change up my cards now. And this is also really just for Canadians, so it might vary from country to country. And then the last thing is just like my deposit fees for PayPal, because previously I was using Leo Exchanger, and I talked about that in a previous video. Absolutely don't bother with them. I will say that they did fix the problem the other day when I thought I lost $100, but I contacted them and they were able to fix it. It did take them some time though, like 2 days to actually get back to me and fix that. So that's really great, but the fact that that could happen is pretty concerning. And since then I've used Coinbase, and it has been amazing for PayPal transactions. And because of how good it is, I will be doing a review very soon on Coinbase to PayPal, because I think that is a great way. If you need money on PayPal from crypto, that's the best way. Easiest, lowest fees. Sorry guys. Lowest fees, and it's by far the fastest and the easiest. The fees that I was paying before were like $15 or something per transaction, and now it's just like $3. So way better. And it'll be even less if you have a very small transaction. And that's pretty much everything, you guys. The rest are just like expenses from last year. I wasted some money that was just, won't even talk about that. And I had Google email that I was paying $60 a year for, which really isn't necessary since there's so many better alternatives, and just to have that special URL is pointless, honestly. So I canceled that and I moved everything out of that, so I didn't have to rely on that email anymore. Anyways, this has been a really long breakdown. I hope this didn't bore you guys to death. This has been my comprehensive look at all of my expenses and how I try to save money and all the different things that I do. I hope this gives you some insight as to how I've been practicing financial minimalism, and I really just laid my soul bare. You guys now know literally everything that I spent my money on to a T. So, feel free to give me some criticisms and feedback on what I could maybe do to do even more, or what are your thoughts on some of the things that I do. I'm sure some of them are a little too frugal. for some people, but I'd love to hear any suggestions and tips and things that you guys do to save money. Because, one thing that I always do is I regularly come back to this almost every day or two. And I spent a few minutes ideating while I update the values for various things. And then I spent a few minutes thinking, okay, what could I maybe change? What could I cut back on? And if I don't see anything, okay, maybe I'll take a look at it next time. But that's a good little practice that I do pretty regularly. And occasionally I'll be like, oh wait, I get an idea will hit me, and then I'll implement that and see how it goes. I think the best way to get started is to just try cutting out or changing some things and doing like a 30-day challenge. And then if you find after 30 days that it's an improvement to your life, then keep doing it. And if you find that it was less of a benefit than what it took away, or what you lost from doing that sacrifice or whatever you choose to do, then you can go back to it. You always have that choice at the end of the day. So the best thing you can do is just try different things out. And I'd love to hear all the ways that you guys are saving and taking advantage of financial minimalism and practicing it, and how you guys are charting out your path to financial freedom. Anyways, the person who requested this, I hope this really covers everything. And if you guys would like to see anything more on financial minimalism, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much for watching up to this point. Since you did, it would be awesome if you could give this video a like, and if you could comment down below #1ham. That way I know that you watched the full video. Also, it would be great if you guys could follow me, subscribe to my channel. You can follow me and find me everywhere under @ScottCBusiness. And also, sharing this video makes a huge impact. If you'd like to support me more directly, you can donate to scottcbusiness.crypto or scottcbusiness.eth. And that covers a lot of my main addresses for Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ripple. As always, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, signing off. Cheers.